Hello, this is FoodOffensive.com's Rush Hour Rants, and I've titled this one Taco Bell sells 100 million Doritos Locos tacos. That's a lot of MSG. And so I heard about this, people at work saying, probably because they heard about it on the radio or something, it seemed like a lot of buzz going on about it, and the fact that Taco Bell in just about 10 weeks had sold 100 million of these Doritos Locos taco shells. Tacos, basically, the taco shell is like a Dorito chip, and then it's a taco inside of it. And I'm like, I try to recall, I think Doritos has MSG. I know that Cheetos do, and ranch dress, like ranch mix packet, anything that has like a lot of things that have like a dry seasoning packet to it, it has MSG in it. And what people don't understand, maybe don't know or don't care to read the instructions, or the ingredients, but monosodium glutamate is MSG. It's just a shortened, MSG, just a shortened version for that. So if you see that on a package, that's what that is. And I went to Taco Bell's website. They actually have the ingredients for all of their stuff, like right on an actual page altogether. So I read this ingredients list, and it's here, and you can see that if you're watching the video version of this, you can see that video. But it's got all kinds of stuff in it. Whole corn and vegetable oil are the two main things, which is, expected, but then it says has less than 2% of the following. Well, they point out that it's 2%, but what's the 2%? I mean, when you sell 100 million of these things, that's a lot of stuff, and a lot of ingredients. Monosodium glutamate is one of the first several that are there, and of course every food coloring you can think of is in there, and corn solids, and then TBHQ for preservative. Stuff we've seen before, stuff we've seen and looked at in other things, and candies and things like that. So that's on their site. And then also, I've listened to Dr. Russell Blaylock, heard several interviews of him, and basically he's a neurosurgeon. He's now an author, researcher. He's a renowned neurosurgeon. He has a book titled Excitotoxins, the Taste That Kills, and he talks about brain damaging excitotoxins like aspartame and MSG and other things that are in our food supply. And he was in an interview with Mike Adams of naturalnews.com, and I found this particular interview because I was looking, researching a little more on MSG, and found out a lot of things I don't know, and I'm going to have to do a whole special report on it because there's a lot out there and things I didn't know, like them calling it having other names for it if it's less than 99% pure MSG. So it's getting a little scary in that factor. I didn't want to read, I didn't want to believe what I read last night, but that's what it is. And basically he breaks down MSG as a brief little history, that it was previously added to food during wartime into the C rations of the Japanese soldiers, in order to increase taste or stimulate taste. And they had discovered long ago that if you add a little bit of MSG or monosodium glutamate, it stimulates certain cells in the tongue to make food taste very good. So you could take a very bad tasting food, and they particularly used canned foods, which would have like a tinny taste or metallic taste to it, and then you put MSG in it, it just tastes scrumptious, is what he said. So the food manufacturer discovered this, and they introduced it. If it was introduced to the military, and then more major food manufacturers later, they started using MSG, including baby food. So up until 1970, it was actually put into baby foods. And then a renowned neuroscientist, Dr. John Olney, when he discovered the toxicity to the brain and the serious implications of that toxicity, they started, of course, looking into it a little more. But he goes on to talk about, it really just causes destruction to major parts of the brain. And, when we think about this, it's, Yeah, it's less than 2% in this particular taco. Maybe it's less than 2% in chips and things like that. I'm not sure, but I didn't look at the actual ingredients for those. But you got to think about the compounded use, the compounded amounts that we're getting. And then when you look at the different names they have for MSG that I didn't even know about that they're putting in there, and you can see the rest of this interview on the screen if you're watching the screen version of this or the video version. But that's what it is. And so I just wanted to point that out, and not to rain on anybody's parade, but I won't be having one. I haven't been to Taco Bell in over 3 years, so don't plan on going there either. So that's that. Taco Bell's Doritos Locos Taco. That's a lot of MSG. So until next time, this is foodoffensive.com, coming at you from the front lines of our food supply with Rush Hour Rants. Thank you for listening.